don't trade what little dignity and honor and little pride you probably have for LinkedIn street cred. I know it is tempting, but it is not a good trade. Cool. Hey guys, how's it going today? Shooting this video from outside. The weather is super nice, so thought I would take the opportunity to come out here and have this next video out in the sunshine. What I wanted to talk about today is the fact that LinkedIn is embarrassing and cringe. Essentially, LinkedIn has become, in my opinion, a breeding ground for embarrassing behavior, and it must be stopped at all costs. If I think of the embarrassing things on LinkedIn, there's four main things that come to mind. The first one is people changing the language of everyday terms to try to fit into a corporate mold. And I'm not just talking about the usage of corporate terms, because it's pretty typical that if you're talking to work professionals, you're going to use corporate jargon, corporate language, etc. What I'm talking about is the complete editing of non-corporate terms to seem even more corporate. For instance, my friend Chelsea, who was laid off from PayPal. Chelsea's been out of work for over a year, and she posted something along the lines of, "I want to thank my partner, blah, 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 for his unwavering support." What she means to say is her boyfriend. Chelsea is not a lawyer. She doesn't have a partner. She's not a partner in the firm. She's talking about her boyfriend. But the fact that she uses the word partner is indicative of her being embarrassed to admit that she has a boyfriend, and she shouldn't be embarrassed to say that. But of course, in the corporate world now, if you're a female especially, it doesn't look good to have a boyfriend. In fact, it looks better if you're a single boss girl not needing any man for support. So that is something I've noticed. I think it's really funny and silly. Besides changing of everyday language, the second thing, and this is an obvious one, is the celebration of mediocrity. And I'm not just talking about people celebrating their mediocre jobs, because that's fine. I mean, most jobs are mediocre in the corporate world. There's no shame in having a job. So I'm not getting on the case of any of those people who just happen to have a boring job. That's absolutely not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about here is people celebrating, for instance, getting a certification from some BS site that is willing to take your $3,000 in exchange for a certificate with their name brand on it. There's a ton of that on LinkedIn. It's people who don't really do anything noteworthy, who want to appear noteworthy, so they go to these trainings and seminars to get these certificates that don't matter. They pay a few grand, they get the certificate, then they celebrate it. And it's mediocre and stupid. So there's that. The third embarrassing and cringy thing that I see on LinkedIn all the time is people using LinkedIn as a political soapbox. So regardless of what your politics are, you shouldn't use that platform to espouse your political beliefs. Corporate America is very far left and progressive. Just because that's true, and if you happen to have far left and progressive views, it should not encourage you to use LinkedIn as a platform for you to espouse your beliefs. So for instance, over the last few years, one of my LinkedIn connections, who's a recruiter, all he does is talk about DEI and the importance of DEI. And now that Trump is trying to get rid of DEI federally, his posts are even more flagrant. I saw a headline of his that was just titled, "This period must period stop, period." Clearly very significant when you have to start using one-word sentences. I get the message. I think that's a big one. If corporate America ever did shift back to the right, I definitely wouldn't espouse my political beliefs on there. Because ultimately, when you do that, you're saying that you need the validation of strangers. Because LinkedIn, it really is just full of strangers who happen to be in the corporate sphere. You might know a few of them personally, but most of them are complete strangers. So when you are out there espousing your political and religious beliefs, you are subconsciously saying, I need their validation. And that's stupid. No, you don't. So a fourth big problem I have is when people use their memories as corporate talking points. For instance, I have a connection who has on multiple occasions posted pictures of his kids and family in posts that are not about his kids and family. They're about business and the corporate world and enterprise relationships and enterprise themes. An example would be, he'll say, hey, here's my daughter at her volleyball game, and she's absolutely terrible at volleyball. And the business lesson to be gleaned from this is that sometimes in life when we're terrible at something, like my daughter is at volleyball, we shouldn't give up, we should keep pressing on. And this is a really valuable lesson I've seen in the corporate space, blah, 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 blah. It's atrocious. And when I grew up, my parents didn't have social media, thank God. But I would be very embarrassed and upset if I knew that my dad was taking pictures of me as a child, using those pictures as a way to fuel his credibility, his street cred on LinkedIn. Now, it's one thing to take pictures of your family and post it on your personal social media. I don't really think there's much wrong with that, because you're basically appealing to your friends. But once you take a picture of your family, your personal memories, your kids' memories, and you're trying to convert it into corporate political capital, then that is really dark and sad and stupid. If any of you on here use LinkedIn, absolutely don't do that. Keep your family memories precious. Keep all of that unadulterated. Leave it out of LinkedIn. And understand that gaining corporate capital from strangers on LinkedIn is a meaningless pursuit. And it's absolutely not worth your time. Don't trade what little dignity and honor and little pride you probably have for LinkedIn street cred. I know it is tempting, but it is not a good trade. Anyway, guys, let me know what your thoughts are. If any of you have also experienced crazy LinkedIn stories, I'd love to hear them. Thanks for checking in. Have a good day.